What if I told you that somewhere near the Arctic Circle, hidden deep inside a frozen mountain, there is a vault designed for the end of the world, a place built to survive wars, natural disasters, climate change, and even the collapse of civilization itself? It sounds like something from a science fiction movie, the kind of secret facility you'd expect to find in a post-apocalyptic story. But this place is very real. And right now, behind layers of steel, concrete, and ice, millions of seeds are being stored for a future that nobody hopes will ever arrive. The question is, why? Why would governments from around the world spend millions of dollars creating a vault in one of the coldest and most remote places on Earth? What do they know that we don't? And why do some people call it the Doomsday Vault? To answer those questions, we need to travel far north, very far north, beyond the major cities, beyond the forests, beyond the places where most people live. Near the Arctic Ocean lies a remote Norwegian archipelago known as Svalbard. For much of the year, the landscape looks almost alien. Snow-covered mountains stretch toward the horizon. Frozen valleys disappear into darkness. The wind moves across the Arctic wilderness with almost nothing standing in its way. It's cold, it's isolated, and for most people, it's one of the last places they would ever choose to build something important, which is exactly why it was chosen. Hidden inside one of these frozen mountains is a facility unlike any other on Earth. From the outside, it doesn't look particularly impressive. In fact, many people would probably drive past it without realizing what it is. A simple concrete entrance emerges from the side of a mountain. No giant military base, no army of guards, no dramatic fences stretching for miles. Just a quiet entrance in the Arctic wilderness. But appearances can be deceiving, because behind that entrance lies one of humanity's most important insurance policies, the Svalbard Global Seed Vault, often referred to as the Doomsday Vault. Inside, millions of seeds from almost every corner of the planet are carefully stored and protected. Rice, wheat, corn, beans, vegetables, fruits, plants that feed billions of people every single day. The idea is surprisingly simple. Imagine making a backup copy of your computer. If something goes wrong, you can restore everything. The Seed Vault works in a similar way, except instead of protecting digital files, it protects the future of global agriculture. And agriculture is far more fragile than many people realize. Most people assume food will always be available. After all, supermarkets are full. Farms exist everywhere. Modern agriculture seems unstoppable, but history tells a different story. Throughout human history, crops have been destroyed by war, disease, floods, droughts, volcanic eruptions, economic collapse, and human mistakes. Entire harvests have disappeared. Regions that once produced food have suddenly become unable to do so. When that happens, the consequences can be devastating. Food shortages, famine, mass migration, social unrest. The people behind the Seed Vault understand this better than anyone. They know that while modern civilization feels stable, it is not invincible. A single crop disease can spread across continents. A major conflict can disrupt food supplies. An environmental disaster can destroy years of agricultural progress. And that raises an uncomfortable question. What happens if we lose the crops that feed humanity? What happens if a plant species disappears forever? The answer is simple. Without a backup, it may never return. That is why countries around the world send seeds to Svalbard. Not because they expect disaster tomorrow, but because they understand that preparation is often invisible until the day it becomes necessary. The vault officially opened in 2008. But here's something many people don't know. The Doomsday Vault isn't just a symbolic project. It has already been used in real life. And that makes the story even more fascinating. When most people hear about the Seed Vault, they imagine it sitting quietly beneath the Arctic ice, waiting for a disaster that may never come. But in 2015, something unexpected happened. For the first time, seeds stored inside the vault were withdrawn. Not because of a global apocalypse, not because of a nuclear war, but because of a conflict. Before the war in Syria, scientists operated an important seed bank near the city of Aleppo. For years, researchers collected and preserved seeds from crops grown throughout the Middle East. Many of these plants had adapted to harsh climates, droughts, and difficult growing conditions. They represented decades of scientific work. But as the conflict intensified, the facility became increasingly difficult to operate. Eventually, researchers feared that valuable plant varieties could be lost forever. Fortunately, years earlier, backup copies of many of those seeds had been sent to Svalbard. And for the first time in history, the seed vault fulfilled the exact purpose it had been designed for. Scientists requested the seeds back. The vault opened, and the seeds were returned. Think about that for a moment. A facility built in the Arctic to prepare for future disasters was already helping recover from a real-world crisis. The backup plan worked, exactly as intended. But while this success story reassured many experts, another event raised an uncomfortable question. What if the vault itself wasn't completely safe? After all, nothing on Earth is truly indestructible. Not buildings, not governments, not even mountains. In 2017, reports began appearing in news outlets around the world. Water had entered part of the tunnel leading into the seed vault. The headlines were dramatic. Some newspapers even suggested that the Doomsday Vault was failing. For a moment, people wondered if humanity's ultimate backup plan had a weakness. The reality was less dramatic than many headlines suggested. The seeds themselves remained safe. No collections were damaged. But the incident revealed something important. Even in the Arctic, the environment is changing. Temperatures in some northern regions have been rising faster than many scientists expected. Permafrost that had remained frozen for generations was beginning to behave differently. Engineers quickly upgraded the facility. Additional protections were added. The entrance was redesigned. Drainage systems were improved. And once again, the vault was secured. Yet the incident left people with an interesting thought. If a structure built for the end of the world can face unexpected challenges, what else could happen in the future? And that question becomes even more interesting when we consider why the vault exists in the first place. Many people hear the nickname Doomsday Vault and immediately imagine a nuclear war. Others think of asteroids. Some imagine global pandemics. And while those scenarios sound dramatic, the truth is much simpler. The vault was never built for one specific disaster. It was built because nobody can predict the future. History is full of events that seemed impossible until they happened. Entire civilizations have collapsed. Massive volcanic eruptions have changed climates. Crop diseases have devastated food supplies. Wars have reshaped continents. Again and again, humanity has learned the same lesson. The future rarely unfolds exactly as expected. That is why the Seed Vault exists. Not because disaster is guaranteed, but because preparation is often the difference between recovery and catastrophe. Deep beneath the Arctic ice, millions of seeds sit quietly in darkness, waiting, not for the end of the world, but for the possibility that one day someone may need a second chance. And that raises perhaps the most fascinating question of all. What kind of future is this vault preparing for? Most people imagine dramatic scenarios: a nuclear war, a deadly pandemic, a massive asteroid impact, or a climate disaster that changes life on Earth forever. The truth is, nobody knows exactly what the future holds, and that's the entire point. The creators of the Seed Vault never claimed they could predict the next global crisis. Instead, they accepted something much more realistic. Human history is unpredictable. Again and again, civilizations have been surprised by events they never saw coming. Empires have fallen. Entire populations have been displaced. Food supplies have collapsed. And systems that once seemed permanent have disappeared. Imagine waking up one morning and discovering that a major crop disease has spread across the planet. Fields that once produced food suddenly stop growing. Farmers struggle to protect their harvests. Food prices begin to rise. Countries become increasingly desperate to secure their supplies. It sounds extreme, but similar events have happened before on smaller scales. Now imagine that happening on a global level. Suddenly, those millions of seeds hidden inside a frozen mountain become incredibly important. Not because they can solve every problem, but because they offer something humanity has always needed. A way to rebuild, a way to recover, a way to begin again. That is why the Svalbard Global Seed Vault is often called the Doomsday Vault. Not because it predicts the end of the world, but because it quietly prepares for the possibility that one day things may not go according to plan. And perhaps that is what makes this place so remarkable. In a world obsessed with the present, someone decided to think hundreds of years into the future. Someone asked a simple question: what if? What if a crop disappears? What if a disaster strikes? What if future generations need help from people who lived long before them? The answer to those questions now sits behind steel doors beneath the Arctic ice, silent, frozen, waiting, hopefully forever. Because the best outcome for the Doomsday Vault is that it never becomes truly necessary. But if humanity ever faces its darkest moment, it may become one of the most important places on Earth. And now I want to hear your opinion. If civilization ever had to start over from scratch, do you think a vault full of seeds would be enough? Or is there something even more important that humanity should be preserving for the future? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoy hidden mysteries, forgotten places, and incredible true stories, don't forget to subscribe to Hidden Theory. Because sometimes the world's most important secrets aren't hidden in plain sight. They're hidden beneath the ice.